Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 4 vs 4 on Sainte-Mère-Église, and in this one I'm going to be playing with the 2nd Infantry Division. I'm playing with player Baba Papa and Zero Crack, who are playing the 1st Panzer, the 3rd Armoured and 4th Armoured respectively. Then on the opposing side we have Lennart, Genjeft and Childkotin, Blaze and Gonzo, who are using the 91st Luftlandr, 9th Panzer, 16th Luftwaffe and 116th Panzer. So set to be quite a good one with multiple different divisions. Now this was actually recorded on my stream, or at least streamed live, and if you want to watch that VOD then you have to be a patron. But here I have for you the recorded replay, and let's have a look at what sort of units I'm being put down and whereabouts I'm going to be heading in this one. So initially it's just going to be me heading into the town. I'm going to be covering off the left side of the town a little bit. Then on my left I have Zero Crack, on my right I have player, and then on the far right we have Baba Papa. Now this map is actually, I think, quite small honestly for a 4v4. There is technically 4 roads that cross, so you can play around 4 players on the map. However, it's not very often that this actually happens. Usually you have like 3 vs 3, you have one person go to the town, then one either side. But in a 4v4, I guess it kind of opens up more strategic opportunities, because there are like this road, for example, that goes across this field. You have the road on the right that goes across this field. This right side's normally where people go just because it's a bit more covered than the left side here. This area of field is very open. And then on the right side, this is normally contested because of the road going down here and then the road going down the left side. And roads generally tend to dictate Steel Division quite a lot, and where people play around each map. So moving into the town, I'm going to be using Ranger units really, the Ranger Assaults, got Ranger Marauders in there, got a couple of Rifle Squads and of course the Ranger Leader. I'm following up with a Mortar, and I also have an AT gun there, the M5 gun to carry to the left side, where I can cover that from 1,200 meter range, and it does get range onto the left side road going into the town. So that's very useful for cutting off reinforcements. So that's what I'm going to be looking to do in this one. Now, as you may have noticed on the opposing side, we do have Gonzo there once again, and he's going to be quite a big part of this game, as he has been in the previous 2, where he's pushed us to the limit and hasn't quite won out, but definitely put a lot of pain onto my teammates and onto myself, having to force me to play out my skin to really bring those games back. So let's just speed it up again, get the game underway, and we'll see exactly where I'm going to be placing my units. At the start of all games I do try and group up my units as much as possible before the game start, so you can see me started to do that there. Yeah, over on this left side we have the AT gun, we have the command which is going to be sitting behind it, we have a Ranger Marauder squad that's going to be sitting in the bushes there, and a Rifle squad that's going to be trying to get up as far as it can to push forwards the front line. Then we have our big mortar coming up behind. In hindsight, I probably should have used 2 of the Ranger mortars with the 900 meter range and 2-star veterancy, because they have way more rate of fire, which is way more useful for pinning down enemy infantry. But either way, here we go, moving into the town. We have a little bit of support from player. He's bringing up some rifles and a command infantry squad. He's also got a stag hound in there. But my rifle's getting up as far as I can. I've got my MG deploying behind the church, generally because the church is pretty targeted early on. So getting the rifles into cover, get the Ranger Assault into position. Ranger Marauders there, got Ranger Marauders on the left side. My Ranger Leaders in position as well. And this is when I realised that I've been put up against 2 players. And this is fine, as long as player kind of pulls his weight as well. So my Ranger Assaults are in great positions. I've got one on the left side melting those Ersatztruppen. I've got one on the right side melting those Ersatztruppen. However, as the Ersatz come into the building there, I actually end up flaming my own rifles, which isn't good, but they get killed off eventually. The main issue that occurs is my Ranger Assaults actually run out of ammunition. 107mm mortar here has already fired 1 salvo, of 5 rounds, and my M5 gun on the right side is opening up onto some vehicles on the left side. But I should have been continuing to use that mortar to pin down more infantry units as I move up, because I am starting to get my Ranger Marauders into the engagement here in order to take out some Luftwaffe Jäger, because currently I'm fighting against both the 16th Luftwaffe and the 91st Luftlander. So Luftwaffe Jäger are there. We've also got Ersatztruppen, of course, from both players, and then we have Fallschirmjägers that I'm dealing with as well. And currently it's sort of looking okay. I'm holding on quite well, but with the Ranger Assaults actually running low on ammunition, as soon as they start approaching these Ranger Assaults, I'm going to have a hard time killing them off. So at the moment, players kind of hanging around with his Staghound and the Universal Carrier. His infantry is mostly dead though. He's only got 1 unit of rifles left, and a lot of these units can't really be useful because of the Luftwaffe Jäger having the AT there, and also the Fallschirmjägers having the AT there. So the Staghound coming into the town, going to get blown up. I'm going to try to move up my 30 cal now into the church to see if I can actually make something happen. But as you can see, from all angles, as soon as they move into the church, you just get absolutely hammered and pinned down. Even the AT gun outside of the town can fire at that 30 cal. Being RT'd on the left side, so moving my M5 gun out the way, and the mortar is once again firing again, counter-battering the enemy 50mm mortar. So that's what I'm trying to take out, because it's currently pinning down my own infantry and causing me a lot of problems. But there you can see both my units going down. We've got the rifles going down there, and then I think it was a unit of Ranger Assaults also dying. And this Ranger Assault is also very low. Got 2 more coming in, got 2 more rifles on the way, so hoping that I can control what's happening there. However, as you can see on this right side, it has been completely broken. Barber Papa got ran over by some Flampanzers, and also just lacked his M4A1 in the right position. So what ended up happening was those Flampanzers just rolled through his units there. So I have an M1 gun going to the right side, a couple of Ranger Marauders just to try and help out there. But this is taking resources away from this town fight, which is often something that you need to consistently continue to use or do during the game. And if I can't put my full might into the center here, especially without reinforcements coming in from player, then I'm going to be having a hard time. And the Ranger Assaults here currently trying to flame the Panzer 39 for no reason there. It's funny how they auto-targeted the Panzer 39, and the rifles both being pinned down instantly. These rifles actually got hit by a Panzerfaust as they unloaded from their truck, so that wasn't ideal either. My mortar's currently being counter-batteried, and it's only got 1 round left anyway, so that's not very good. The main thing that like I said at the start, I should have focused on the 2 Ranger Mortars with the 2-star veterancy. Then I could have pinned down these Fallschirmjägers as they came in, but currently I'm just being overwhelmed. My Ranger Assaults have been taken out. The command infantry there is also going down. I bring up the Ranger Marauder to try and take care of the Panzer 39 that's moved up, and I do manage to take care of it. However, players now suiciding his Cromwell towards some Fallschirmjägers, which is not a nice idea. And also this Lloyd carrier's not unloading its Vickers probably when it already should have. Either way, I'm still focusing on this right side. My M1 gun gets mortared by the 257s of Gonzo. My Ranger Marauders are trying to run backwards and forwards into the tree line to sort of rocket some of these half tracks and relieve some of the pressure here, but now the mortar now is like coming into the armored rifles, and my Ranger Marauders there anyway, so that's causing issues. And I am kind of being hammered in the center by 2 players at the same time. So here comes some more reinforcements. We got 3 rifles on the way, 2 more Ranger Assaults. Now rifles are great because they hold for so long, but the main issue at the moment is like their artillery is just like way more effective than mine, and this 107mm mortar doesn't have any extra supply until phase B. So that's a big issue, and currently we're dropping the +1 to the opponents, which isn't so much of a bad thing. But you can see there in the center, the Cromwell is going to go down a player, and a lot of his infantry is being killed off. My Ranger Marauders go down there to some approaching Luftwaffe Jäger, and my reinforcements have arrived, and I am going to be unloading those to take out some of these units where I can. But again, the main issue is going to be artillery, as we do see the off-map starting to come in. So artillery coming in from the left side, we have artillery coming in from the mid, obviously from the 50mm mortar, we have the off-map coming in, and we're also trying to help out on the right side, and I'm being overwhelmed at this point, unfortunately. On the right side, player is trying to make some ground by pushing into this tree line, however that's kind of futile as you reveal yourself to so much fire support as soon as you go into that tree line, so I was hoping that he would come over and help me with the mid, and probably my bad for not asking him to do so, but either way, as you can see, all of my rifles being pinned down here, the off-map artillery actually took out my command, so I'm in a very, very dodgy position at the moment. If they started to move forward some of this infantry, all of this would just surrender, my backline would break, and I would be in trouble. Now these Ranger assaults, they kind of got stuck further back, because the artillery hit them as they were coming up the road and made them unload, and I didn't really realise properly, so that was just kind of me leaving them there, also to avoid the off-map as well that was coming down, so yeah, just didn't want to suicide them into that, and now it's almost too late, as that's trooping. If the Bolsheviks get onto the edge of this town, it's going to be really, really hard for me to actually move into it. I did bring up the M3 command just to be a little bit more tanky and provide that command there, stop all of this from basically surrendering, but off-map coming in now onto player as well. On the right side, my Ranger Marauders went down, or at least one squad did. I have one squad left, but the Flampans are still causing trouble for Baba Papa. Now, ideally, I would have liked to have seen like a second M4 come in and maybe try and deal with that half-track, but not happening at the moment, and Gonzo has the AT gun in position anyway, with the Panzer III and so on. Like, Gonzo knows what he's doing, he's got the units into the position, and is definitely capitalising on the ground he's made on the right side. So 56% territory now in the favour of the opponents, and I've kind of been pushed out the town here. I can't really get back into it unless I build up some fire support, which is exactly what I'm going to be doing here with the M7DD. We have Phase B in 1 minute, and that will hopefully give me more units to work with in terms of like fire support to hit the Fallschirmjägers that will be hammering my rifles in the open. And you can see there the Ersatztruppen are going to be hit by the M7 and forced to fall back. So yeah, ideally I want to get these rifles to move forwards, and maybe I can then make some ground, but as you can see, smoke grenades coming out from the Flammenwerfer. They have 4 grenades at their disposal, and then are going to be using them very well to cover off from the M7. Now my M5 gun on this left side does take out the recon here, and I am still kind of holding this left side quite nicely, but Zero Crack is going to be moving up with his Hellcat, misses the shot onto the 88 and gets himself killed, so Hellcat goes down there. Zero Crack on the left side also kind of struggling here, but keeping the 50-50, so he's done well so far. And in the mid, well, I've lost my ground here to 2 players. Player kind of pushed on this right side, but into the fire support of Leonard. And then Gonzo just kind of rolled over Baba Papa on the right side. Now, Baba Papa is by no means a bad player. And, you know, he just got himself into a bit of a sticky situation, especially with the Flampanzer push. Once they got into position, Gonzo can now just reinforce this area with what is a very aggressive armoured division at the start of the game, and with the low income of the 3rd Armoured, Baba Papa just struggles to like fight back against that, because Gonzo's working with 90 points per minute and Baba Papa's got 70 per minute. I haven't necessarily been fully concentrating on this right side, so my Marauders weren't really used to full effect, and they were just killed by the fire support of Gonzo mostly. I did manage to snipe, I think, a couple of half-tracks while I was there, but mainly just got killed. And also my M1 gun just got quite simply taken out by the mortar. So all of the resources that I put into the right side haven't really been used very effectively. And honestly, what I think I probably should have done is focus more in the center and like helping out in the town, and just like making sure that I had this secured so that I could maybe cut off Gonzo by, you know, moving to the right side at some point. Either way, Pack 38 manages to take out my M7. After my recon failed to spot it sooner, and then just ended up in range. I was trying to like reverse it out of range, but a second shot hit and got the kill, so that was not ideal. I have my M4 here as well, that's kind of moving up, and that's mainly because I'm focusing on this one as well. Just trying to play in like 2 locations at the same time. M4 comes into line of sight of the Luftwaffe Jäger though. I'm going to melt those. And that's the main reason that I brought the M4. It's just so that I can, you know, engage this infantry effectively. The other good thing about the M4 is it does actually deal with these Pak 38s quite nicely because it has 10 armor. I've just got to keep the line of sight there, which is not going to happen this time round. So rifles forced back here. My Ranger assaults that I put into this forest area were taken out. And now it's just a matter of trying to make some ground back. Players brought over some reinforcements, but we are really struggling across the entire map now. M4 does manage to take out another one of the half tracks. We see the M4A3 75mm from Baba Papa. That's being rushed down by some half tracks. But here comes the flank pans. They're going to actually force it to fall back, and it's going to get surrendered since the command infantry was also pinned down as well. And that's again another massive blow that Baba Papa's taken, and it's just not going to work out very well. Now this is only a Pak 38, so the M4 actually has a decent time at like engaging that at max range. It's just going to get actually on target, and this flank pans are still charging on through, getting slowly pinned down by the M5 half tracks. But yeah, just a massive problem on this right side throughout the entire game, and I'm being pressured very, very hard here at the same time. So yeah, not the best game so far. I made my own mistakes quite badly, especially with not, you know, choosing the right mortar combination for the center. If I had two of those Ranger mortars with a 2-star veterancy, I could have like hammered the infantry and pinned them down long enough for me to also support the right side. But when I was under so much pressure in the mid, I probably shouldn't have even tried to help the right and just continued to move all of my forces to the center of the map. Now I've got to take out this Panzer Abwehr. They can be hella annoying, but smoke comes in, covers it off. And the use of smoke by Lennart throughout this game was actually very, very strong, and stopped my fire support from being so useful. But I'm going to take advantage of this smoke where I can and try and use my Ranger assaults across this field to get into this area, but I've got to be very careful of the crossfire from the Fallschirmjägers at the same time. So loads of stuff to think about all the time. I'm trying to get some scouts up as well. Got my recon further up as, there, and it's just all about, you know, trying to find out where I can push in order to make stuff happen. Now on this right side, my M4 does eventually get taken out, this time by a reinforcing Pak 40. The Pak 40 was dropped off, got a shot onto my double D M4, and then also managed to kill off my M4 on the road as it came in to reinforce. So really nice choice by Gonzo there. Phase B has come around, so going to be using that like high veterancy AT gun to just dominate this right side. Baba Papa still struggling now with this orchard area as units are slowly moving forwards. Panzer 3M was bailed out on this right side, so now only one left. So this is, you know, generally quite weak, but you want to have some artillery that can take care of these packs, and that's exactly what Baba Papa's now doing with the M21. However, Pak 38 is going to take out another Sherman, and that's not good at all. So just like some careless maneuvering on the right side from Baba Papa didn't help his case really, and you know, a lot of units just being lost unnecessarily in my opinion, especially when you could, you know, move up to this left side and try and take them out. That mortar's perfect for taking out the Pak 40, so get some recon in here and deal with that. But I think it's just a matter of being like panicked on this right side, and Gonzo has the complete momentum to just continue pushing through, and they're currently at a +2 with 11 minutes until victory. So I was hoping that I could still come back, I could still sort of save the day, but you know, Lennart and Chilcotin still putting on the pressure. Chilcotin making use of the FK288s to really hammer his advantage home. They aren't artillery pieces that you necessarily see very often, but still useful for pinning down artillery like my 107mm mortar. I'm also now bringing in my own M2A1 howitzers, and it's all just as an effort to counter battery their artillery, maybe take care of it, and then have that artillery there to pin down the Fallschirmjägers as I maybe try and make a push back in. So that's what I'm looking to do now. On this left side, Zero Crack's actually doing a pretty nice job. He's broken past his 50-50, just used a Hellcat to take out the Panzer IV there, and Genjev's actually going to be having a pretty hard time against these M18 Hellcats. Now, Hellcats are fantastic against Panzer IVs because, or especially the 9th Panzer in general, because Panzer IVs only have 1,000 meter range. So if they can get them into the right position here, Zero Crack can kill off many of these tanks for free. And that's exactly what we can see happening here. M5A1 is going to be also moving over to the right side. These M5A1s are very, very cost efficient, so it's good to see him making use of those. And we'll be able to take care of the Panzer II quite nicely. We saw the Panzer IV go down there, Panzer II's going down, the M5A1s are now firing at the Stug, and that Stug is struggling to hit its mark, so the M5A1 actually going to force that to fall back. Now in the mid, mortar's still firing away, actually firing over to this right side now. Trying to take out the IG-18, relieve a little bit of pressure for player to actually continue to use his infantry. I've also brought up an M5 gun, and that's going to be moving to this position so that I can sort of crossfire onto Gonzo where I need to. However, as you can see here, Leonard's actually going to be bringing in a HS-129, takes out one of the Sextons. I think Leonard identified that the main thing that would get us back into this game at this point was actually our artillery, so taking out one of them already is a very good shout, and Hurricane there comes in, picks off the HS-129 afterwards. My aircraft here, Gabby, is going to be pinned down and forced back by the Flak 36s that have been brought up as reinforcements. I'm now also bringing up my own CGMC just to protect myself from the HS-129s. Another vehicle going down there from Baba Papa. Baba Papa now bringing in the Jumbo, which is absolutely fine. However, he needs to be careful of the reinforcements of Panthers, especially moving into Phase C. At this point, however, though, this Jumbo should be pushing forwards quite aggressively. He could definitely have continued the engagement with the Panzer III there. This Pak 40 is a bit of an issue, and that's where recon would come in handy. So that's what was desperately needed on this right side, and that's initially why I chose to use range marauders, not only because they have the bazookas, but also because they have the recon, which allows us to see exactly what's coming and what's being used to reinforce. M5 gun is going to be opening up and taking out one of the Panzer Grenadier squads before it unloads. Jagdpanzer, however, going to be engaging my AT gun. I've also got a second AT gun coming up there, and I should have had that unload straight away. But yeah, the main issue now is Gonzo's Flampanzer is moving across and up behind player, who literally has barely any AT here other than the infantry based AT. So we've got to hope now for a Piat to hit its mark, which isn't something you often rely on. So Dragoni going to be firing away there, forces it to fall back. Second one actually lands its shot and gets the kill, so a nice surprise. Now Luftwaffe still being pushed up here, however artillery going to be hammering my rifles as they try and defend. Panzerwerfer from the right side takes out one of my M5 guns, second one's unloaded but is all instantly pinned down. And we have now moved into Phase C, so things only really going to get worse from this point on. Because now we have Leonard with his maximum capacity, 130 points per minute. We have Genjeft with his now more elite units. He can bring Tigers to stop the Hellcats. And then we have Gonzo, who now has Panthers at his disposal. So not really much we can do on the tank front to counter what they're doing. So it's all about our artillery, but they are doing very well at counter-battering that artillery. M2A1 howitzer. Going to be pinned down by that. My 107mm mortar is still good to go, but yeah, this just isn't looking good. +2 still, 64% territory lead for our opponents, over 2,000 score now. The front line has just been broken, and it's pretty much as simple as that. Marder 2 going to be engaging my M4, hoping to get that kill in there. Maybe the last shot can get it. No, Marder 2 is actually going to reverse out of range. So unfortunate there that the M4 couldn't hit the mark, but the M4 after all does only have 4 accuracy, and with 1 star veterancy doesn't really hit too much. Pak 40 is going to be pinned down here, however. Maybe the Jumbo can start to make some ground, but if we go to the neutral perspective, there is a Panther on the way. and that would definitely finish the job, especially when it comes to that jumbo. Now the jumbo has the potential of like out aiming a Panther G at close range, but it would have to definitely hit the mark. Now I have my 107mm mortar coming in here to try and pin down this Marder 2 as I'm engaging it with the M4. But that's not going to work out. M4 again fails to kill its target. Rifles are still holding the line here, and I'm bringing in the P38 to bomb out the Aufklärer. Do actually take out the Sitterungs as well, which is good. Kind of keep Chilcolton Blaze from seeing any of my units. Like, keeping him blind is very important at this point. And I brought over Gabby again. Wolf 190G1 actually coming over to the right side. And Gabby's going to be turning in to engage, but AA's also too much on the far right now, so not too much I can do. 2 minutes 21 left on the clock until total victory for our opponents. Still trying to make a difference with the M4, that's now pushing up. Going to be engaging the FK39. However, off map coming in, sort of pinning down my M4, and Marder's going to sneak out and pick up that kill. So very frustrating on this right side. We also see the jumbo now going down to a Panzergrenadier Panzerfaust, and again, just things not going Barber Papa's way in this one whatsoever. Lack of recon there allowing that to happen, most likely, and the Panther G finally arriving. Going to be moving in my P38 Lightning for a second time. Going to try and get the bombs out onto the Marder 2 because it's open top. I can bomb that out if I can get a bomb on target, but they just off target there due to the enemy AA, and yeah, things not going too well. Now Bolshevik trying to push across, going to be hit by the CGMC. Can see smoke coming out from the Flammenwerfer as he's beginning to move that forwards in the mid here. Then trying to get the Grenadiers into range to use the Panzerfaust on my vehicles. But more infantry surrendering in this tree line. 63% territory lead in favour of our opponents. 50 seconds left on the clock. ME-109 now coming in as well to actually pin down my CGMC. I'm trying to move these rifles across to sort of intercept the Grenadiers I can see coming my way. There's now 2 M2A1 howitzers here. My M5 gun's being strafed by Gonzo's 2-star ME-109. I've got 2 more M5 guns to try and take care of the Panther now. But what a fantastic game by Gonzo, breaking through on our right flank. Another plane going down there as well. I think at this point I just kind of left Gabby in the hangar in hope that they wouldn't attack our airbase at any point. Either way, M5 gun, nice sweet kill onto the Panther G at the end there. And that's going to be a total defeat after 24 minutes and 47 seconds. Fantastic job by Gonzo on the right flank to really take full advantage of Barber Papa's mistakes. And yeah, not looking good there. I almost broke positive 1,376 kills to 1,385, especially with the Panther G kill at the end there. Zero Crack, however, on the left side, he actually did a great job against 9th Panzer, exploited the weaknesses there and got the 2,446 kills to 2,075 losses. He was probably the only reason that we didn't go, well, the opponents didn't go +3 during that game. Player, however, dropping the ball a bit, 701 kills to 1,815 losses. On the opposing side, Leonard, fantastic use of smoke. Genjeff got beaten around a bit with his 9th Panzer. Chilcolton did what he had to, basically, which was hold the line. And 116th, yeah, Gonzo, already said, did a fantastic job. In terms of my kills, you can see my M5 gun actually managed to take out an 88 in the end, took out the Pak 38. Ranger assaults killed off many Ersatztruppen, but exactly the right play from the 91st Luftlander, pushing loads of Ersatztruppen to sort of take the fire from the more important units, used up the ammunition of my flamethrower, and then proceeded to reinforce with Fallschirmjägers, which just completely overwhelmed the units that I had left. Then we had the mortar actually get a few kills in there, kind of paid itself off, but yeah, ideally at the start I would have had 2 of the 60mm mortars with the 2-star veterancy and we got the M5 gun to kill a Jagdpanzer and a Panther G there on the right side. But the Ranger Marauders, you can see the ones I sent to the right actually didn't get any kills in the end, and the M4 as well. Both the M4s I sent to that right side just failed completely. So ideally, my focus should have been solely on the town. I should have really left that right flank to fall apart, and then maybe could have cut it off later in the game, especially if I managed to win the town eventually. But that wasn't to be the case in this one, and unfortunately a defeat this time round. But either way guys, hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.